Hello, I just wanted to have a quick chat today about mortgages in Spain. I have recently taken out a mortgage on this property where I'm living now in Monte Mayor in Benahavis. And so I can advise people as well as the general kind of market. I can also talk now about my own personal experience from my own perspective, and which is really useful, when you're advising clients about how to buy, what to buy, and how to get a mortgage. It's really useful if you've also been through the experience yourself very recently, which I have. So we had a place in Los Flamingos Golf Resort. We needed to sell that to buy this, and we also wanted to get a mortgage because we needed a mortgage, and also because it's a great time to get finance in Spain. Particularly the rates are ridiculously low, to the point where I looked at the mortgage offer when we got it, and I was like, I said to the guy, I said, how is the bank making any money? And he said, well, they're not. When you look at the figures over the course of whatever it is, 20 years, and you see how much you're paying back and the interest, and wow. So it's a really good time to get a mortgage here. And also recent laws a few years ago meant that the banks actually absorb a lot of the setup fees for the mortgage now. You as a consumer, you as a buyer don't. And there used to be loads of taxes to pay getting a mortgage. So that's significantly reduced the cost of actually getting a mortgage here in Spain. So that, with the low interest rates, means it's a really good time to get a mortgage. Anyway, so we ended up making an offer which was accepted. We then had to sell our place, which we did overnight, luckily. We really wanted this place, and so we just made it happen. And we actually told the agent that we'd sold our other place, and we hadn't, but we did. And sometimes in life you just have to push it through and take a risk, which we did. But I was pretty confident that we'd be able to sell our apartment in Los Flamingos very quickly, and we sold it over the phone in 24 hours, so we were very fortunate. So then it came to getting this place valued, and the valuer came along, and of course it's a bit of a dark art, valuations in Spain, because you're never quite sure who's leading the agenda. Are they truly independent? Are they working for the banks? Do they have an agenda behind the scenes? Anyway, they came back with a valuation that was about 300,000 euros more than we were paying for the property, so we were delighted with that, and the banks were delighted with that as well. In the meantime, I'd gone to my bank, which is Cajamar, which is, I suppose, a medium-sized bank. It's quite a regional bank, but I've banked with them for 20 years, personal and business accounts, so they know me really well. They know what I do and how I do it. And I said to them, okay, this is the situation, we're in the middle of selling a property, we're buying this is how much we want, what can you do for us? And they kind of came back and, oh, well, until you've sold your place, until you sign on the dotted line for that, we can't actually simulate a mortgage offer, and we can't give you that, I think the words were, we can't do magic. And we're really busy because we're understaffed because of COVID. So I was a little bit annoyed at that. And so I reached out to a couple of brokers, one of whom was very responsive and very good. That was Fluent Finance Abroad, Mark Elliott and his team, who I'd actually referred clients to in the past but never used myself, and I'm really glad I did. So they charge a brokerage fee with a proportion of that paid up front, a few hundred euros I think it was that I paid up front, and the balance on when they get a mortgage agreed. And I went through with them, and they totally got it. They understood the timescale I was working to, they understood what I was trying to do, they understood my business. I'm I suppose a typical entrepreneur in that I have a couple of healthy businesses, but I don't pay myself a huge amount, or not at the right times when I should do, and various things like that. And even though those accounts were all in order for last year, they wanted to see previous years and stuff like that. And what Fluent Finance do very, very well is that they wrap up your case and go out to the lenders that they feel are going to be most appropriate. And I think they went out to 3 or 4 different lenders. Everyone's busy, it was like, that madness in the middle of the year when everyone was snowed under with work and clients. And the bank that actually came back the most responsive and the best rates was Sabadell, Sol Bank, who I dealt with before, had accounts with before. Other banks just said no, and then other banks were like, yeah, it'll be fine, but we need more time. I didn't have time. So we went with Sol Bank, Sabadell, sorry, and they've proven to be very, very easy to work with. They gave me I think it was a 20-year term. The first year is fixed at, I can't remember, I think 2%. And then following that, it's Euribor plus 1.25. And Euribor is negative at the moment. So the rates we got are very competitive. And I was very happy with the mortgage. I think for the first year, you have to take their life insurance and home insurance. But then after that, you can go out to the open market. And and the whole experience was pain-free. The only thing that kind of didn't surprise me, because I knew about it, but it still shocked me, was the fact that you have a 14-day cooling off period. So you have to go and you have to sign at the notary at least 14 days before completion, to say that you understand the terms of the mortgage, that it's basically to safeguard the banks. So I did that, and then we completed 14 days later, which wasn't ideal because we wanted to complete sooner, but we had to wait. So that's just something to bear in mind if you're taking your mortgage, that you can't do it kind of next week. Yeah, there has to be that slight delay, so you can sign off the terms in front of the notary. So you have to be there, unless you have power of attorney with your lawyer. So yeah, but the whole experience was very good until they start taking the payments, of course. But no, it's all been fine. And yeah, I'd like to thank Mark and his team, who were really professional, kept me updated every step of the way. I think I helped in the fact that I gave them information as soon as they wanted it or demanded it. It was there with them. So I played my part, but they were super duper. They were very good. They kept me up to date, in the loop, and I don't think it was money wasted at all. My advice to anyone who's getting a mortgage here, even if you have a fantastic relationship with a bank here, like I do, I think it's good to shop around, and I think it's good to use a mortgage broker, because they will know from your case and your finances who are the banks that are just going to say no. They're just going to go, nah, forget it. And some of the banks that will say, oh yeah, okay, no problem, we'll look at that. So if you're self-employed, particularly if you have your own business, if you don't pay yourselves a huge salary, things like that, then you really need someone to package it for you and present it to the banks that aren't going to waste your time and give you a refusal. And that's where using a mortgage broker really does pay dividends. So I'm glad I did. I'm glad that I paid them their fee, and I'm very happy in my new home. I couldn't have done it without them, basically, because if I tried to do it myself with different banks, it would have taken a load of time and effort, and it clearly wasn't going to go anywhere with Cajamar. Although a week before we completed Cajamar, my bank came back to me and said, oh, we'll match those terms, we'll better those terms. Please, come on. So I'm still working things through with them as to how we're going to work together in the future. But they had certain constraints, which I understand, but still, they could have responded a bit quicker, I think, to a very good, long-standing client. But that's a conversation for another day. Anyway, so that's my mortgage journey in a nutshell. If you want any advice on mortgages, any kind of introductions to the right people, just let me know. I'll put you in touch. There's 2 or 3 mortgage brokers out there who we regularly use for clients, and I'll be delighted to make those introductions and see if we can help along the way.